Hello, and welcome to this political edition of Florida by the Numbers. I'm Alex Coelho, the Director of Data and Analytics here at the Florida Chamber of Commerce, here to talk about the latest developments across the political landscape of Florida over the past month. This week is candidate filing for federal offices across the state of Florida, and so this month we're going to look at some of these races and how they'll impact the 2024 ballot. We start at the very top of the ballot with the presidential election in Florida. On Tuesday, President Biden visited Tampa to talk about the latest decisions around abortion in Florida. In particular, the allowance of an amendment onto the Florida ballot in November to legalize abortion up to the point of viability. Florida for many years has been a swing state in presidential elections. The question is, going into 2024, is Florida still in play? Democrats currently say yes, and President Biden's visit on Tuesday was meant to continue to assure that Florida remains on their battle map heading into November. Of course, the question will be, once we get to crunch time in the fall, whether or not the money, the resources, and the time we put into Florida as opposed to other states. One of the challenges Democrats have in Florida is what's happened amongst voter registration since the 2020 election. When we go back to November of 2020, Democrats had a lead in voter registration in Florida of 134,242 voters. But as we stand today, looking at the most recent update from the Florida Division of Elections, the Republican lead in registration, which first happened in 2021, has now grown to nearly 900,000 across the state of Florida and shows no signs of slowing down. So against this backdrop, Florida's position as a swing state is in considerable doubt heading into November. As mentioned, this week is candidate qualifying for federal offices, including the race for U.S. Senate. In 2018, Rick Scott, formerly our governor, became our senator, defeating Bill Nelson in a close race. And as we head into 2024, Senator Scott is seeking a second term. His likely Democratic opponent is the former Congresswoman Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. Both of these candidates have qualified for the ballot, and while both face opposition in August in the primary, none of these candidates at this time seem likely to pose any significant threat to either candidate's path to their party's nomination. Senator Scott is a favorite to win re-election in November, although Democrats hope that Congresswoman Mucarsel-Powell can turn this into a competitive race. Candidate filing is also going on for Florida's 28 congressional districts. As of the 2022 election, Republicans currently hold 20 of these 28 seats. The path for Democrats to change this is a difficult one. While they have hopes in the 13th district in Pinellas County against Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, as well as a couple of the Miami-Dade County-based districts, the reality is Republican incumbents in all these races start off as favorites. For Democrats, the question about the top of the ticket, the question of how much resource and how much time we put in at the national level will impact these races as well. The lack of a robust top-of-ticket operation often has a down-ballot effect. And so these congressional races probably are relying on and hoping for a robust operation by the Biden-Harris re-election campaign. As candidate filing continues this week, our Florida Chamber Political Operations team will continue to monitor the latest developments and the latest additions and subtractions from the candidate lists. Additionally, this week, judicial level races across the state of Florida are qualifying, including races for state attorney, public defender, district and circuit court justices, as well as the two justices of the Florida Supreme Court, Justices Francis and Sasso, who must face retention elections in November. While that candidate qualifying is going on this week, there are still a couple months to go before legislative races for the Florida House and Florida Senate have to qualify. We have seen in the past couple weeks a few developments in some of these races. 3 additional members of the Florida legislature, Senator Bobby Powell, as well as Representatives Spencer Roach and Tommy Gregory, have all announced they will not be seeking re-election. In Senator Powell's case, he's actually leaving the Senate 2 years early to pursue a commission seat in Palm Beach County. This adds to the list of open seats in the Florida Senate and the Florida House for 2024. 8 members of the Florida Senate are term limited and unable to seek re-election this November. And with Senator Powell's announcement, that brings 9 open seats total out of the 40 Florida Senate seats. 15 members of the Florida House were term limited for 2024. And with the additions of Representatives Gregory and Representative Roach, there are 9 seats on top of that, where members who have eligibility have announced they're not running for re-election to the House. In many of these cases, because they've chosen to seek other offices. Altogether, that means that 24 members of the Florida House, at minimum, will be changing after November's elections. We still have nearly 2 months to go until qualifying officially happens in these races. And as additional candidates add and subtract their names to these lists, our Florida Chamber Political Operations team will keep you up to date on these latest developments as well. Here at the Florida Chamber, we're very excited to get back on the road with our Florida Chamber Political Institute. Over the next 2 months, the Florida Chamber Political Institute and its members will interview over 100 candidates across 5 locations around the state, helping to ensure the business community can support pro-business, pro-growth candidates for legislative offices around Florida. If you'd like more information on the Florida Chamber Political Institute, please contact our Executive Director, Marion Johnson. In addition to interviewing candidates currently seeking office, the Florida Chamber is also actively working to make sure that the next generation of pro-business candidates are properly trained and ready to go across the state of Florida. And we do this through the Florida Institute for Political Leadership. The Institute for Political Leadership is a nonpartisan class that teaches candidates the ins and outs of running for elections. As you can see on the screen, we've already had 2 classes held this year, and we have 3 additional classes continuing the rest of 2024 for anyone interested in running for office or just knowing what it takes to run for office. And if you would be interested in these classes or would like more information on them, please contact Andrew Wiggins. 2024 is a pivotal election year for Florida, and the Florida Chamber Political Operations team is hard at work to help secure Florida's future. If you'd like more information on how to help the Florida Chamber continue to support pro-business candidates across the state, please contact our Executive Vice President, Frank Walker. And if you have any questions on this video, the contents of it, or any of the latest developments happening across Florida, please feel free to reach out to me at my contact information here. Again, on behalf of the Florida Chamber of Commerce, I'm Alex Coelho, thanking you for helping to continue to secure Florida's future.